In your morning consumer news, Trump's plan to cut food stamps hitting a major roadblock. The Senate parliamentarian ruled that key SNAP provisions in Trump's sweeping policy bill don't comply with Senate rules. Those provisions would push costs to states and limit which immigrants can get food stamps. Senate Republicans are scrambling to finalize their legislation before a potential vote next week. And Americans could start paying more at the pump. Prices are already up, but now even more after the U.S. military strike on Iran. Oil prices surged late yesterday. U.S. oil futures jumping 3.6% to about $76 a barrel. Some experts predict oil prices could go even higher, perhaps as high as $80 a barrel. Oil has not traded that high since last January. Experts predict those prices will likely rise, and that will reignite inflation across the country. At least 3 food companies are recalling dark chocolate candy with white sprinkles. The candy may contain undeclared milk, which could cause a life-threatening reaction if you have a milk allergy. Weaver Nut Company, JLM Brand, and Southeastern Grocers have all been impacted, sold nationwide and online. Home renovation costs are rising, with 60% of suppliers reporting their suppliers have increased prices or plan to because of the tariffs. Nancy Chen has more for maximizing your home makeover.
The shingles, the pricing was going to go up next week, and we got them here and saved a few $1,000s.
David Parati's business, Fine Home Contracting, takes him all over Connecticut. But these days, the most challenging aspect of his job is keeping up with tariffs.
We get about 50% of our building materials come outside the U.S.
Really? That much?
So our main supplies, we need to look elsewhere.
Among the biggest impacts to home renovations, 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum that could affect roofs, plumbing, and electrical equipment, as well as HVAC systems. Almost a quarter of the country's available lumber supply comes from Canada and now faces a nearly 15% tariff. New appliances, tiles, and even window parts could also cost more.
In bathrooms, probably this is the most impacted for out of all the rooms.
What advice would you give people if they're thinking, I might sit this one out until tariffs go away?
If you zoom out into this industry, we were building and remodeling for about half the price 10 years ago. So unfortunately, it continues to go up. But if you were to do one project, painting is usually really nice to freshen things up, new flooring. You can definitely avoid the tariffs just by the different companies that are producing flooring.
Parati also urges clients to set aside extra money in their budgets for rising costs down the line, up to 30% in material costs alone for projects like bathrooms. He also says to work closely with suppliers to stay on top of fluctuating policy and move quickly to lock in prices when possible.
The experts say if you're tackling remodeling on a budget right now, prioritize plumbing and utilities over finishes, countertops, sometimes new furniture, or window treatments may do the trick.